Think about this for a moment. What if the exhaustion you feel is not caused by life itself, but by everything that doesn't belong to it? What if most of the pressure in your mind was never necessary, never essential, never chosen? Modern life teaches us a dangerous equation. More equals better. More speed. More options. More productivity. More stimulation. We have built a civilization that celebrates the full life, yet we have never felt more empty. People feel more scattered than ever, more anxious, more distracted, more profoundly disconnected from themselves. This is where a deeper truth begins to emerge. Not all intelligence is about adding. Some intelligence is about removing. Because clarity does not come from complexity. It comes from simplicity. And simplicity is not weakness. It is precision. It is the ability to see what matters and let the rest fall away. Most people don't realize this, but the mind was never designed to handle constant, unrelenting input. It was designed to observe, reflect, and choose. Instead, it is flooded. Endless information, endless comparison, endless demands on your attention. The result is not growth, it is noise. And noise slowly erodes intelligence. Because intelligence is not how much you consume, it is how well you discern. Here is an uncomfortable question. If modern life is supposed to make us more advanced, why do so many people feel mentally overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and internally lost? The answer is simple. Life became crowded, and in the crowd, we lost ourselves. We have confused movement with progress. But running in circles is still just running. And without direction, effort is just another word for exhaustion. Simplicity is not about having nothing. It is about having only what serves your inner direction. When life is overloaded, every decision becomes heavier. Every choice costs more energy. This is what we call decision fatigue, the slow drain of your vital force caused by 1,000 things that don't actually matter. Every moment feels rushed because we are trying to manage the unnecessary. But when life is simplified, something remarkable happens. The mind slows down, perception sharpens, presence returns. This is not just philosophy. This is psychology. The brain performs best under clarity, not excess. Too many options increase anxiety. Too many obligations reduce focus. Too much stimulation weakens deep thinking. And yet, society rewards complexity. Busy schedules are praised. Overloaded lives are normalized. Constant availability is expected. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor, but it is actually a sign of a life out of balance. A life filled with unnecessary things leaves no space for what is essential. And remember, space is not emptiness. Space is where awareness lives. Awareness is the foundation of all intelligence. When your life is constantly full, you never hear your own thoughts clearly. You react instead of choosing. You follow instead of directing. This is why simplicity feels uncomfortable at first, because it removes distractions. And without distractions, you are left with yourself. That is why many people avoid it. They are afraid of the silence, because silence is a mirror. But simplicity is not about escape. It is about confrontation. Confronting what you actually need. Confronting what you are chasing out of habit. Confronting how much of your life is driven by expectation rather than intention. Most people don't suffer because life is hard. They suffer because life is cluttered. Cluttered with commitments they didn't choose. Cluttered with desires they inherited from a culture that wants them to keep consuming. Cluttered with identities built to impress rather than express. Simplicity strips these layers away. And what remains is not emptiness. What remains is clarity. Clarity reveals something powerful. You don't need to earn your right to exist. You don't need to justify your life through constant achievement. You don't need to be everywhere, know everything, or keep up with everyone. A simple life restores sovereignty over your attention, and attention is power. What you give attention to shapes your identity, your habits, your emotions, and ultimately, your future. When attention is scattered, life feels fragmented. When attention is gathered, life feels coherent. This is where simplicity becomes intelligence, not because it rejects the world, but because it relates to the world consciously. A person who knows what is enough is difficult to manipulate. Advertising loses its grip. Social pressure weakens. Comparison fades. Because when you are clear, you stop chasing what was never meant for you. This doesn't make life smaller. It makes it deeper. Relationships become more present because you aren't looking at your phone while looking into someone's eyes. Work becomes more intentional because you aren't trying to do everything, but the right things. Rest becomes restorative because you aren't feeling guilty for not being productive. Even silence changes. Silence stops feeling empty and starts feeling informative, because silence reveals what the noise was hiding. This is why simplicity is not passive. It is an active, radical choice. It requires courage to say no, courage to slow down, courage to step out of unnecessary competition. But that courage is rewarded with calm, with focus, and with inner stability. Stability is rare in a world built on distraction, but you can find it. Simplicity is not about removing objects alone. It's about removing illusions. The illusion that more speed means more meaning. The illusion that more options equal more freedom. The illusion that constant stimulation equals a full life. When these illusions collapse, intelligence matures. Because true intelligence is not accumulation. It is alignment. Alignment between your values and your actions. Alignment between your time and your meaning. Alignment between your inner direction and your outer life. This alignment creates a quiet strength, the kind that doesn't need to prove itself, the kind that doesn't rush, the kind that endures. Simplicity is not the end of ambition. It is the refinement of it. When you remove what doesn't matter, what matters becomes undeniable. You stop asking, "What should I do next?" And you start asking, "What deserves my energy?" That question changes everything, because the smartest life is not the most complex one. It is the one lived deliberately, with fewer distractions, fewer false urgencies, fewer borrowed desires, and more presence, more clarity, more truth. Simplicity is not about doing less. It is about living from what is real. And when life becomes real again, it stops feeling overwhelming. It starts feeling human. This is the intelligence of simplicity, not as an idea, but as a way of being. Look at your life today. Look at the clutter, the noise, the obligations that feel like chains. Ask yourself, what can I let go of? What is taking space that should belong to my peace? The path to your soul is not a path of discovery, but a path of recovery. Recovering the space you lost. Recovering the silence you feared. Recovering the simple, profound truth of who you are when the world stops shouting. Choose simplicity. Not because it is easy, but because it is the only way to be truly free.